episode 10. We learned a lot this week in our fantasy league. I've got a few things non-fantasy related, which we'll get into. But Nick, Dan, good to see you. No guest this week. We felt like Ben really brought down the ship last week. We'll get into that. But just absolutely terrible takes. Just kidding, Ben. We love you. It was great having you on. But Nick, Dan, how we doing?
I kind of feel like a guest at this point to the podcast now that my playoffs hopes and dreams crumbled after a 1-point loss to Alex. So me and Cole are innocent bystanders at this point, watching this league develop.
There was a time in this league where I legitimately was afraid of not making the playoffs, and it feels so good to be the first lock and current number one seed in the playoffs. Couldn't be feeling better.
We're proud of you. Obviously, you've got the team to back it up. We'll get into all of that. I would just like to say one quick thing. Milk, you can go to hell. Clearly, you don't listen to this podcast, so he won't even hear me say that. We said we will drop a meme if you respond. I didn't hear anything from Milk, so maybe I just dropped the meme anyways now. But we'll get into that.
Where it
hurts. And I think that, he lost. If you listen to the podcast, I mean, I'm not whatever into voodoo magic, but maybe McCaffrey's still around. If you listen to the podcast, you might help McCaffrey's juju, but obviously lost for the season. But before we get going, any updates, anything anyone would like to share?
With 30% of the league officially eliminated, can we make this podcast 30% shorter?
There's 30% more to talk about as things start to get intense.
I'm just kidding. We're making this a double episode, everyone.
All right. Well, we will give Cole and Berg probably has. Berg still clamors for this podcast for some reason. He has some weird, excitement about just getting ripped on. But I don't think there's going to be a ton of Berg talk this week. A little bit. I think that's come and gone until we get to where it all went wrong. Basically, people are saying it's going to be as good as Man in the Arena. So let me go ahead and share. Let's get things underway. We are at double digits for our fantasy podcast. So we have officially hit number 10, and maybe with that, we will get our 10th subscriber. So we are still sitting at 9. It's been a while. I know that it's probably Milk. So maybe we just rag on Milk until he subscribes. So anywho, let me click the share button here and we'll get underway. All right. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right. So we've got a little bit of a new format here as the playoff picture starts to formulate itself. The buckle race. And all of these pictures I picked for a reason. If we start over on the X's, with the exception of, well, I guess Cole's I just had to grab one, but Nick just got lost in a net of injuries this year. I think Nick's biggest downfall, unfortunately, was the unpanning out of Antonio Gibson. It was a great pre-draft, big board, number one, being picked ahead of Najee Harris. But would be interesting to see what would happen if you flop picks there. Berg has a massive trophy. I'll just move this X, but that is the only thing he's going to come close to winning. So I hope he still has that and he can sleep with it tonight. As we move along, 6 and 6 teams, Alex is flashing the UWW here. He's going to need a couple of those to get in the playoffs. He's going to need a few of those, few W's, and 6 and 6. He's right in it. Has not too bad of a schedule, especially not having to face McCaffrey in week 14. Then these are all in order. So of the 7 and 5 teams, so obviously our tiebreaker being the most points, we've got Ben, least points, has played with his food a little bit this year. Dan, I recently said that to him. He'd never heard that saying before. But just like his golf swing, still a lot of work to do in order to make it to the playoffs. So good form here. A nice little, bowed right arm, pretty straight, but you're going to have a lot of work to do. Shaw was once pretty blurry in this playoff picture, but this really cool picture of when he was inducted into his frat or initiated into his frat. Things are still a little blurry, but definitely looking up. So that's why we chose that photo. Chris, I think this goes without saying, still a lot of heavy lifting to do. Losing Deebo, there's like 4 plates on this. So losing Deebo, he could have gotten a haul for Deebo last week. Thank you for not accepting that. But still a lot of work to do to make it to the playoffs. Myself, hey, things are sunny, a lot sunnier than they once were, but still a lot of nurturing to do to make the playoffs and get the job done. Milk obviously has hit a lot of base hits this year, most points scored, best record in the league up until this week. But he's gonna need to hit a home run these last couple of weeks in order to pull it together. And there's a lot of question marks on his schedule. And Dan, he's made it to the mountain. He's made it to the mountains. But we had to take out the summit. He is not quite there. There's still another journey that has to begin. So there is a summit in this picture. But unlike the Jets, he has made it to the dance. And so we'll see what happens. But the buckle race rages on another week. I don't think we're going to have any clarity coming out of, well, more clarity, but no, maybe a few more locks after this week. But Nick, Dan, any thoughts here?
I appreciate the work that you did. There's a lot of hidden meetings behind these pictures that are hilarious and very, very smart takes. I agree with a lot of them.
I think the blurry shawl pick is my favorite.
I sent this picture to Shawl. It's like him and all his frat bros. And I said, I can't find you. Which one are you? So he sent back, he circled himself. And I go, all right, thank you. I need it for the pod.
How long do you think the person that took that picture of Ben had to wait for him to swing?
I was almost going to say that, but I probably would have had to go on a 30-minute rant about how many practice swings Ben takes. So the swing looks good. When he makes contact, it goes. But hey, he's got a new set of clubs, so he's maybe a new man.
What do you guys think Chris is about to blurt out in that picture? What is he going to say?
I don't know, Dan. What do you think he's gonna say?
I'm surprised he ever was able to put up that weight for how little that man believes in himself.
I think he's about to blurt out, "Come to X Golf. League starts at 6."
Please, guys, we can play some free golf.
I'll be there, Chris, once this exam is over. Don't worry.
Hey, but like all of us in this league, another hidden meaning here that I literally just found. We all kind of have this guy's viewpoint into Chris's team. We all like can't really believe it that it's still coming together, but it is, and that he might make the playoffs. So, Chris, well done. Hope you've seen that life coach by now. But anyways, the buckle race rage is on. Like I said, hopefully some more clarity after this week.
I thought you were going to use Alex as like remember the good times when you were the #1 power rankings for multiple weeks, just like in college. Those days are gone, buddy. You're bottom of the league.
I forgot that Toy was at one point.
Toy. Go ahead.
Brown, Williams were top 10 guys. Kelsey, he had Patterson, Eckler, like his team was stacked.
Yeah.
Wilson, that's before he broke his finger. He was doing awesome too.
Yeah. Hey, he put up almost 20 points this week.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, hey, things are interesting. We'll take a look at the power rankings here. But let's go back into the weekly recap. I think a lot of interesting things happened around the league here. So Dan, you want to kick us off with any takeaways?
Yeah, I thought I had a bad week, and then I saw that Ben lost to Berg, and I couldn't believe it. What that man is going through. Losing to Berg has to be an all-time low for any human being. There's 3 people in this league that have lost to Berg. All 3 of those people, we got Nick. His team stinks. He's out of the playoff. You have Chris. His team also stinks. And now Ben joins that very elite crew. I'm proud of him. Saber metric for our matchup, Peter. My big guy, Nick Folk, has more average points this season than Aaron Jones.
Wow.
So, yeah, Nick Folk might be the waiver wire pickup of the year. So stay tuned for that. He's been my highest scorer. Other than that, Love to see Shaw win in a very low-scoring bout. And Cole's team's still putting up points. I still can't understand how or why, but hey, good for him.
Yeah, he got some great Turkey Day performances out of Daniel Carlson and Josh Jacobs. So putting up 21 points out of his kicker is a nice little boost to start the year or start the week off. Couple takeaways for me. Hey, Dan, I got to give you a shout out. You were exactly spot on with your take last week that I was going to play the wrong flex. Now, I was scared that it was going to be Pittman. I was never going to start Waddle, but you were spot on with the take. So I highly commend you for that. I don't feel bad about who I played, but hey, congrats on 8-5. Your team is looking good. And watching Nick Folk, I was watching some of that game live, and it just felt like, I mean, literally every possession he was kicking, and it was brutal to watch. Carrying on, a couple things that stand out to me. Number one, Shaw. This is his 5th week in a row where his defense, 4 of the last 4 weeks, it's been New England D. And then the week before that, I believe it was Carolina D, has been in his top 3 scorers each of those 3 weeks. So that is pretty incredible. I'm happy to get Shaw in a week 14, where he does not have one of his top 3 scorers, also known as New England D, playing that week. So that'll be an interesting development to see. Obviously, Chris's team exploded. I mean, between those guys that you see, I think Mitchell had 1 touchdown, maybe 2. Deebo, I think, had 2. And then Fournette had 4 touchdowns. So he had 7 or 8 touchdowns between those 4 of those guys. So obviously a lot was boasted. So you're looking at, he's a 100-point scorer plus 6 touchdowns, which, is pretty incredible. So hopefully he can put it together. We'll see. He has some of the skeleton framework there. Obviously the trade deadline has passed. I know he was really excited to get a deal done, but it never happened. So Nick, any takeaways?
Yeah, what was your guys? Let the listeners know what your bet was between your 2 matchup, Peter.
Oh, Dan gets to pick a night out fit for me. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's going to be good. I'm going to rock it real hard once he does. And also, T. Higgins putting up 20 points is the surprise of the century.
That's awesome.
What was that?
Well,
I knew T. Higgins was the pickup of the year this whole time. I picked him up. Everyone made fun of me. And now look at him, 20 points.
True. Dan, you are so good at fantasy football. You'll have to put the outfit you put on for Peter the night we go out into the group chat for everyone's pleasure that decided either they were too good for Madison or maybe they're thinking about coming back. I think I'm actually pretty impressed with Alex's team. I'm going to give him a little bit of props for beating a powerhouse that lost all of his wide receivers and whatnot. But I thought Patterson having the big week. Stafford didn't really do great, but he's consistent. He has Taylor. I think once we get to the power rankings, you'll see he went up in my rankings. Actually, I think he can still be a force to be reckoned with. So don't give up on Alex. Let's see. Well, I also had a take that Shaw is. We've gone back and forth, but I think we can officially say who the most boom bust team in the league is. It's not Dan anymore. His team was all bust, and now it's all boom. I think he's going to stay consistently at the top. I think it's Shaw. Shaw seems to either be scoring 140 or 90, and whether that's because he's got a lot of Bengals, so when the Bengals are good, he's good, or if it's when the Buccaneers are good and Mike Evans is scoring 3 touchdowns and a half against me, he's flying high. So I think I don't think Shaw is going to have what it takes to win it all. But I do think he can literally upset anybody and make it hell for some. You don't want to play him in a 1-week round playoff. That's going to be my take for his team. So that's what I've got for the weekly recap.
I agree. Is there any update? Is Hurts injured?
He's going to try and play.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he's limited on the ground, I mean, and it comes to his arm, that could be a little bit of a dicey situation. I'd be surprised. I guess they are making a playoff push, but they do have a week 14 bye. So be curious to see if they, really run him out there. I don't know who their backup is.
Gardner
Minshew. Yeah.
Oh, it's Minshew? Oh, baby. He's good for 1 dub a year.
The Eagles need some quarterback controversy late in the season.
Oh,
Foles
yeah,
versus Wentz.
I also didn't realize Mixon went for 30. Obviously, I think so. I had a similar thing with Pittman and Jonathan Taylor, where they kind of flop big weeks. So to your point, Nick, like Jamar Chase can go off, but Mixon's going to then, you kind of get the average. You can get the average 20. So good call out.
True. Do you think Shaw will start Gardner Minshew if Hurts is out this week? He is loyal.
I think he starts Gardner Minshew if Hurts is in.
True. Double flex
against that Jets defense.
Yeah, true. All right, let's move along to the power rankings. Berg, there was not a new number 10, but who wants to start?
I'll go. So I have myself moving up to number 1. I think now that I am confirmed in the playoffs, my team, while missing Tyreek last week, was still able to come together and pull out a big dub against who we all thought was great, Peter, on a 6-game win streak. I am now on a 5-game win streak. Number 2, I have Shaw. Shaw's been coming on hot the entire season. I think Nick made a really good point. His team can go off any given week. I would not want to play him in the playoffs. Number 3, I have Peter. I think, to my point, he is moving up in my rankings, but I do think that the trade he made this week to get a very injured AJ Brown, while he says that he loves the trade still with Brown on IR, I don't think it's going to be a good one for him without Pittman. Milk, number 4, his team is very good. He lost Christian McCaffrey. He lost this week. So a little bit of work is going to need to be done, but I still think he's pretty good. Ben, number 5, he's the vulture of the league. He has everyone's running back handcuff. He's just waiting for guys to go down. Still no Kamara. So I think when Kamara comes back, he's going to have a lot better of a showing as a fantasy manager. Toy, his team is just vastly underperforming. I still like Toy to make the playoffs. I still think his team is capable. I think he'll squeak in. Chris, 7, doesn't really. Actually, he moved up 2 spots for me. He was losing, putting up the low point every week, and then he goes off this week. Really, for Chris's team to look good, Tampa Bay has to go off. Luckily, they did this week, but how many more weeks will they keep that up? I don't know. I have Cole moving up from 9 to 8. Cole put up the second most points in the league this week. Somehow Cole's team can pull it together, go off any given week. He's still out of the playoffs, so I don't have him moving up too much. Nick, number 9. Nick's team stinks. I liked the trade he made for Pittman. I thought that was really good, but losing this week to Toy doesn't help him. Berg, big win this week. Really proud of you, but let's face the music. You still stink. That's my power rankings.
All right, Nick, over to you.
I'll go bottom up. So it was nice to see Cole and Berg put up some points. Berg was the one at least able to pull out the win. So good for the 3 of us that are eliminated to still be competitive. So you love to see that for the league. I still have myself higher than Cole. It took an injured DeAndre Swift on the first drive for me to lose this matchup this week. So that's always tough. I've had a couple ones where it was middle of the game. Cole, I will give him props especially if he's still listening to this podcast. Good for him. Your team, I feel like, has been one of the most injured across the league. I feel like you're always battling injuries. You've kind of weathered the storm there. So hopefully for your sake, my sake, Berg's sake, we can get a little bit of better of that luck next season. I've got Chris rising up 2 spots. Well, he can't be lower than us 3 because we're already out. I think he had a miracle Leonard Fournette game, and Otherwise, he's losing that matchup again. They've been trying to work in Ronald Jones, so he should be very scared about that. The trade deadline is gone, and he was the one team that I thought really needed to make a move. I can't believe he didn't accept that trade offer from Peter, where Peter was giving him the house for Samuel. So 7 for him. Ben dropped in my rankings this week. You lose to Berg, you drop. I feel like that should be rule number 1. So Ben's the lowest points scored in the league this year. I think he's I'm being generous giving him the 6 spot over Chris, honestly, just because of his output every week. But with his top end talent, if he can get healthy at some point this year, he could rise in the rankings quickly. Alex, I talked about him a little bit, so I won't talk about him too much, but yeah, I had him rising. I think he's got a well-rounded team, so I could see him making some noise in the playoffs. So how many weeks in a row? I mean, you've got probably your little graph on the next slide, Peter, but how many weeks in a row was Luke number 1 in a row? Because
since week 9.
Yeah, I think that was a bit reactionary from both of you to drop him all the way to number 4. I'm going to give him a little bit. I think my rankings are a little bit more sticky on usual. So I'm keeping him at number 1. He had one bad week. He still has the best receiving corps, arguably in the league. He hasn't had McCaffrey for half the year. I think if he doesn't give up, I think he still has a really good chance to finish in the money. Do I think he's the favorite? No. But I'll still put him power rankings number 1 for body of work. I've got Shaw being my biggest person falling in the rankings this week with 2 spots, just because of the realization that he is that boom bust team. I can't put him consistently above some of these other teams, like the other 2 hosts on this podcast. But his ceiling is as high as anyone. So again, like Dan said, you don't want to see him in the playoffs. I gave Dan number 2. I've been sticky with him. I've kind of been a little bit low on him compared to the rest of the people ranking. He was actually number 4 in my rankings last week, which was the lowest, I believe. I moved him up 2 spots, well-deserved. He has been a consistent top scorer in the last 3 weeks. And then Peter, I actually had you 3 last week. I was probably low on you. Kept you the same this week. I'd like to see you finish the season strong, and I think you possibly might be the title favorite in my mind, given your running back situation. So those are my rankings.
All right. Nick, I appreciate the analysis. And even though you are down on yourself about this fantasy year and you've been texting us about how, Stacy has to drop off a golf bag.
Is it mine?
Yeah.
Or is it Dan's? What time are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
All right. So where I was going with that, but Nick, we respect your takes. You give the most level-headed takes. You obviously know a ton about fantasy. 10 through 8, I'm not really going to go into much. I do think, as we get to pick'ems, I think there's a potential upset of Nick over Dan this week, just given the fact of who Dan is missing. But I have Chris at 7. Chris would be 6 in my power rankings, but losing Deebo is massive. When you lose, he's going to be out for at least 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, likely 2 though. And when you need a playoff push to get in, luckily in Chris's case, if he wins 1 game, Chris can get in with 7 wins. Ben can't get in with 7 wins. Ben needs to get to 8 wins because of that. I also think that Ben got a big jump from Dylan and a big jump from, a medium jump from Jamal Williams. But I think losing Waller is going to be a big loss for him. And Lamar has proven to be just the most streaky quarterback. He could go for 41 week. And I mean, he threw 4. It was actually really impressive. He threw for 4 interceptions and I think still put up 8 points, which is, and I don't know if he had a touch. He might've had 1 touchdown pass. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Andrews.
Yeah. So pretty impressive actually out of that. Toy I have at number 5. Toy's receivers could pop any week. I think it was so fascinating how at the beginning of the year, all of them popped at once. So obviously if, it's going to be hard to fire up and start Mike Williams confidently, but if you do get that week or Lamar, has that good matchup with Marquise Brown, I mean, they're both suspect to go for 30 points. Milk I have at 4. Milk had a bad week, number one. Number two, he lost McCaffrey. If he just lost McCaffrey, he probably is at number 3 in my rankings. But the shell of that DK Metcalf is right now. DK's first target in the game was with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left against the Washington football team. And every other throw right now, Russell Wilson looks like he's either going to throw a dime or he's going to throw it 10 yards out of the stadium because of his finger. Shaw I've got at number 3. And this is, I would have Shaw if this was, I had said this last week, but if Shaw was 2 before, he would have stayed at 2. I had him at 3, so I can't move him up. He beat Milk. He scored. He didn't have a great week. Mixon obviously put up 30. He still has some pretty big bye trouble coming up, especially in our matchup. I don't think he has much this week. But Shaw at number 3, I think the couple hits is Jamar Chase has been who he was first to start the year. And then the other big one is clearly Rob Gronkowski back. And if Antonio Brown comes back, Mike Evans' floor drastically drops. He's still got that boom factor. He can still go off. But I think Gronk went for close to 20 points this week. And otherwise, those would have been targets. You're not going to target Brait that many times. I got myself at number 2. I'll still defend that trade. I would still make that trade today for A.J. Brown. Pittman put up his first double-digit. He had his second double-digit target week. He had 10 targets for 4 catches. He had one other week since week 4 where he had more than 8 targets in a game. So I like that. Nick explained to me that he was listening to Fantasy Footballers podcast, and they were saying they would rather have Jalen Waddle the rest of the season than DK Metcalf the rest of the season. And Waddle's got a fantastic schedule. He finishes out. So Waddle is looking to be great. Here was my other thing. I think obviously losing. So I made that trade for Kelsey earlier because I realized, hey, if I lose a running back this year, I'm going to be in a deep hole because now I have 2 holes. I got an RB2 that goes down from Dalvin Cook or Jonathan Taylor. And then I'm also got a hole at tight end. So making that trade has been good because I've got Kelsey, happy to just flush Dallas Goedert off of my lineup and run Kelsey right back into it. Biggest surprise of the week on the waiver wire back to Milk is Milk did not make a bid on Chuba Hubbard. So just the fact that, I mean, he had 9 fab, I bet 9 to block him. I had the tiebreaker, so I would have gotten him anyways, but just not to make a play for it and put a bid in for Devin Singletary. If I don't put that in to block him, which I was debating taking it out, Toy picks up Chuba Hubbard for a $0 bid, which is quite interesting to me. So that was really fascinating. The other thing with Milk and is he's got a little bit of Chris in him where it seems like something happens and they just want to close up ship for the year. Whereas you got to, hit the grindstone and make some things happen. And then I think, Madison's obviously, so I've got a hierarchy of 2 players in the NFL, Kareem Hunt excluded. And I already said this to Nick, but Dan, if there were, who do you think are the 2 best handcuffs in the league? I believe Madison's one of them. Who do you think is the other one? I think there's a clear hierarchy. I think there's 2 at the top, and then there's like 4 to 6 guys at the second tier.
I'd say Tony Pollard.
That's what I said. Tony Pollard and Alex Madison are your top. And then A.J. Dillon's moving into that. But then you have your Jamal Williams, maybe your Devontae Bookers, some of those other guys kind of in that 2-3 range. Madison has just almost as many 20-point performances as Dalvin Cook, which I'm pumped about. And Dan's team, Nick, I highly disagree with your take that Milk has the best receiving core in the league. I think Amari's good. I think that DK is not great. I think Cooper Kupp is incredible. And he's going to play in a dome more often than not. So he's going to be probably the best. But playing against a guy that had just Juicy Jeff and Devontae was insane. And then when you throw Tyreek in the lineup, I think it's a clear number 1 who has the best wide receiving core. So we might disagree on that front, but that is my take. And Dan's team is built very different than mine. His runs through his receivers. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Cleveland. I mean, Chubb's performance was scary to watch. He barely got the ball, and it was an ugly game. But and I'm surprised they're not sitting Zeke.
Hey, the beautiful thing, Kareem Hunt's dad talking shit on Baker. Kareem Hunt's going to be out of town pretty soon. They're not going to give him any touches. It's going to be the Chubb show.
We'll bring in
Yeah,
Dearness
yeah.
Johnson, and then Ben's gonna win the league.
It's going to be the Chubb show at the Brown Stadium. It'll also be the Chubb show at the Addison, if that happens.
It'll
So,
definitely be the Chubb show at the end.
Dan, I saw you shaking your head when Peter was complimenting me being a good fantasy owner. What do you know what your record would be against my schedule this year?
Don't care. I can only play the people I'm assigned.
You'd also be 4-8. You would have the exact same
I
record
would have
as
made different moves. I would have planned
you wouldn't
ahead.
have.
I would have done different things, Nick.
The only person playing 40 chess in this league is Peter planning buys against who he's playing against. You haven't done that once.
Hey, it's all up here. I knew that I could beat Peter's team with Tyreek on buy. That's why I made the trade.
I believe the first thing you said is, "Ooh, I didn't realize he was on buy."
Hey, I was trading with a 1-win team. I can't be afraid. And
hey, that's right. I was a 1-win team at that point in the depths of hell.
I'll screenshot the picture of Dan begging me to stay on the podcast, but we can move on.
All right, here's what we got. So some shake up. Nick, your power rankings moves things quite a bit. So we've got I had it saved. I guess before that there was a tie with Ben and Toy, but obviously that has changed since. So we have Toy at number 5 and Ben at number 6. But a tie at 3, Milk and Shaw, which I actually think is pretty legitimate. I think that I fear their teams about the same. And then, rest of the league. So obviously Riser, Chris up a little bit. Dan up 2 spots, Milk down 2. So
the graph of Berg's team is perfect because it's like someone flatlining, just like
That's perfect.
Yeah, well,
fucking flatlining.
Before we get to Nick's sabermetrics, there's this. I'm going to pull up a few other sabermetrics here. These are actually Nick's as well. But he sent this pretty cool little fantasy FF hub. I was really kind of curious what he was sending me on the hub. So glad to see it was fantasy football. Or was I? But anyways, here are power rankings. You go in here and you put in your team league and they give you some different things. But anyways, these power rankings are points scored, winning percentage. So more, not taking in players in and out and projections. Milk's obviously clearly at the top. If his team was healthy, I think we can all say that. But we can agree with that. But definitely another just view on things. And I think a lot of it, goes to show where our power rankings are at. So that's one of them. The next one here is
Can I go back to that?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the disparities between players and teams. Wow. CD Nuts below Berg.
Nick has a terrible schedule against the median of the league. A terrible record against the median of the league.
Yeah, and all of Berg's points for in the beginning really buoy his team.
That is true.
But yeah, I mean, I'm
but Nick still has more wins than Berg in this.
Yeah, I mean.
That's actual. Never mind.
That's actual wins.
Yeah, it doesn't take. Yeah.
This one's interesting, and I
like this one the most.
Ben is given a 95% chance to make the playoffs. I think Ben will be in the playoffs, but
on ESPN.
On ESPN, yeah. But 95% to make the playoffs when he needs to get to 8 because of his points for, that's saying he only has a 5% chance to lose out. I think that's low. 65%, and I think is more accurate. And he has the lowest playoff percentage according to this. So things still have, we still have a chance. Milk has a 30% chance at the first seed. Dan's 60%. You have an 85% chance to have a bye, Dan. So good work there. But I think that these playoff percentages are very, very accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it doesn't take into account buys. It doesn't take into account, you might have an injured player coming up on your team, like a McCaffrey or whatnot. But I found this like about a week or two ago, and I like it. I think it's pretty good. I'll definitely be looking at it next year and going forward, especially with the playoff odds and the power rankings. And it does the reschedulizer for us. So that's going to be the next thing that Pete's probably going to flash. This thing's cool.
So this looks eerily similar to what Toy came on and touted that he spent hours creating for himself. So I don't really know. Jury's still out if Toy actually did that work or if he was just smart. Hey, more of the power to you if you found this and you pawned it off as your own. But here is the week by week what happened. Pretty fascinating. Berg's got 3-9 there.
Yeah, we could. Great time to pause the YouTube video, take a peek, maybe zoom in, take a screenshot, whatever you got to do.
Ben's 44 and 64 against the field. Bottom of the league.
See, that's awful.
Wow, look at Toy.
Yeah,
he was so good in the beginning. Look at like 8-1, 8-1, 8-1, 9-0. He had a couple of rough weeks, but like I said, maybe we jumped off him too soon. He has Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, Taylor.
Count him out.
Yeah. The thing is he's in a playoff hunt with Taylor on bye in week 14.
Mm-hmm.
Could be dangerous.
Yeah. Then this one is just, you can actually like go in here and you can say, oh, if Milk wins this, or if, or sorry, not Milk, because half and half. If Charles wins this, or if I win
Super
this.
Milk.
Super Milk. What the projection, how this standings finish out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think it just takes into account your current score as the tiebreaker. So you can't be like, oh, if I score 20 more points, I'll be ahead of XYZ. But I used this last week to see what it would look like if I like played out everything. And but it's fun, especially for those people on the bubble like Ben or Alex or Chris.
Yep. All right, let's go back here. We've got the Ass Man table. So Nick, walk us through it.
Yeah, another great place to pause on the YouTube video. Don't cancel out. Hey, we got some more to talk about. But take a peek at this. I don't think I'll bring any words of wisdom that you might be able to see at this point. Dan is now the leader in actual wins. That's a new one for him. Luke is still the most expected wins. He was at 7-9 last week, got the lowest score in the week this week, actually. So stayed at 7.9. So he joins. So he was at 7.9. Is this correct? Actual win 7. I mean, I'm just wondering, he's that unlucky that he's negative 0.9 and he's a 7-5, I guess. But
I think so, yeah, because he's a lot of them. He's supposed to be in a lot of other schedules. He'd be 9-3.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. He's had a decently tough schedule. So, yeah, he still has the most expected wins to this. The other thing I'll just say, as you guys look at the numbers, the boom bust potential has crazily shot down, and the bust potential has crazily shot up because the scores are just much lower than they were in the beginning of the season. Teams were putting up 130, 140 when we had people like Derrick Henry in our lineup, or a healthy Calvin Ridley, or a healthy Saquon. So these teams aren't as strong as they used to be. So that boom potential has lowered. So some restatement of past weeks. Now you get a little bit of bump if you broke that 132 mark, and maybe you didn't bust as much as you thought, similar to so I'm looking at Peter, where at one point he was like 50% bust, 50% boom. Now I think it only counts 1 week as an actual true bust week. So
Milk's first bust.
True. Yeah. Hey, you better not be listening to this. Wait. It's 12-1. Luke, you busted on 12-1. You made it, buddy. Oh, that's funny.
That's crazy. It's crazy that I'm 0.8, but the lowest one to what should be reality is 0.7. So there isn't like anyone who's right on. So it's kind of cool to see this, especially as we've had more data points.
True. Yeah, it all evens out.
God, Ben's still 2.1. Berg, obviously that 2.6, but that's from early on. But Ben 2.1 over.
Lowest expected wins, Ben.
Wow.
That's a sad.
Hey, we'll get into it actually in a second here. So any other on the sabermetrics? From our pick'em last week, it was ugly. Oh, that's not bad. I
Yikes.
forgot to change that picture. Ben was the best at 2-3. But yeah, it was a bloodbath in the pick'em. So all of us went 1-4.
I think Dan picked me, I thought. Oh no, Dan picked Alex, I thought. Pretty sure he said that in the car. Right?
Who'd I pick?
I don't think you picked me.
I thought you picked Nick.
I'm almost positive Dan picked Toy.
I don't think I would pick Nick.
Yeah.
Well, I'll change it right now. 2-3.
So he's oh baby, back to above 500.
Let's go.
That Berg one killed everybody. Love the upset.
Sure did. And Chris just going nuclear on us. Or nuclear on Cole, I should say. What a demoralizing way to go out for Cole.
Yeah, that's sad.
He's had a very tough schedule.
All right, let's get into it. Preview these matchups. Where do we not have a dog in the fight? Let's go
Bert.
here. We always start. Where's Bert? No, we have Bert.
I was just gonna say whatever the Berg matchup
Should
is.
we just
it's
get it
usually a
out of the
quick
way?
one.
Let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, so here's my question. I want you to take all of the players that I'm starting, and I want you to take all of the players that Berg is starting, and I want you to create a lineup.
I'll take. Oh God,
I'll take Tyler Bass.
Matt Gay against Jacksonville though. They're gonna move the
Oh,
ball.
that is a good matchup. And Tyler Bass against New. Yeah,
New Orleans has a good defense. Maybe I'll take Mahomes.
Yeah, maybe I take Mahomes.
Honestly, I don't think I would start any of his wide receivers over your three guys. Maybe it's close with like McLaurin. Definitely not Hotel, but love to see him in a starting lineup for shits and giggles this week. Love to see that. The real one, yeah, maybe the Dolphins defense against Mike Glennon. I think I would take that. I think that's the only one I'd switch. I'll put that one in, Steve. I'll take the Dolphins defense.
All right. Hey, Madison against Detroit. I think he went for 20 over. He went over for over 20 last time he played Detroit. So
I think that was against me.
I think it was. Yeah. Because you said, oh, you can't complain. Yeah. He has had a 20 and a 22.8.
Yeah, he'll have a great week. Especially them coming off of a loss. They're gonna pound the ball.
All right. So should I?
I'm gonna take Berg.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Please don't put that down.
yeah,
I'm definitely taking Pete.
yeah, me as well.
A broken clock is right twice a day. So Berg, you got your win against Ben, the worst team in the league points wise. So don't think it's gonna hold up against Pete.
I think the next one here is let's go to. Let's go to just here. Let's Toy versus Milk. Should be a good.
No, it's against Cole.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and Cole's out of it. So yeah, this makes sense to go here next. Take it away, Dan, your old roommate. What do you got to say to him on his season and this matchup?
Everyone knows I've been high on Cole this whole season. I, believe it or not, like Cole's chances here. I think Matt Stafford's been a little banged up. I think Marquise Brown's been underperforming. Chris Godwin, a lot of mouths to feed on that offense. Hunter Henry, been kind of a bust. Patterson, I think this is the interesting stat that might screw over Toy, is there's been a lot of buzz about him playing some safety this week. And if he does get snaps at safety,
He's just their third string safety.
Second string safety. But with all the buzz, I would wager that he plays at least one snap at safety. I think they do go with Patterson, but they're playing Tampa Bay. That's going to be a tough matchup. Bills against New England. Bills D is good. New England's very good. I think Toy is suffering. Jonathan Taylor is going to go for maybe 50 against Houston, but if Jonathan Taylor doesn't bail him out, I've got Cole in this one. I think Cole's got some guys that put up numbers. Gesicki against the Jets, or no, against the Giants is going to be a good one. Josh Jacobs, my old darling, he's been putting up some points. So yeah, I've got Cole.
I'll go. I've got Toy in this one. I like your points. I just think Jonathan Taylor against Houston is going to be, they're not going to throw. I mean, Nick, we better hope they get the ball to Pittman earlier. It's going to be the Jonathan Taylor show very quick.
Sure.
JD McKissick is likely going to, he got destroyed at the end of that game. I would be flabbergasted if he plays. If that's the case, Gibson is going to run the show out there. Cordell Patterson against Tampa Bay, not the greatest, but I think Jonathan Taylor still put up a good week against him. The biggest thing that I actually think the thing that potentially wanted me to go to Cole is that he has Ayuk. Ayuk's going to be a great play this week. I think he's going to have a massive week. Obviously, no Deebo. He's junior varsity Deebo. But Harrison Butker in Denver in that thin air, Justin Tucker put one in from 64. I think Harrison Butker is going to have 1 or 2 from 50 this week.
Yeah, well, being out of the playoff, I am now focusing solely on my pick'em. So a lot of hard work went into this. I looked at this matchup about 30 seconds before this podcast.
Try and get them to sway you why you should pick them.
Yeah, just a little bit of bribe money. I got to get my money back somehow from this league. I will say, I was like, oh, Sam Deebo's out. Who's got Ayuk? That's probably a really good team a fun team to pick in the pick'em. It's Cole. I don't think he wins this week. I'm gonna still pick Alex. I wanted to pick Cole, but I think it's not going to be a good Chargers week. And that's usually when Cole's team suffers. So I'm going to go Alex Toy.
I got you, buddy. Then by buddy, I mean Cole.
Oh, R.I.P. to the farm.
He's been sprouting so many crops.
It was a bad crop this year. It looked good early, then the hailstorm damage.
There was a drought in North Carolina. None of the crops were growing.
Big matchup. 2 7-5 teams. Chris has proven anything can happen in this one. Nick, take it away.
That is very true. No Deebo, no Chris. So I am going Shaw. I think his team's going to be fine. I think Henderson is supposed to play. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Having Evans to kind of block Tom Brady definitely benefits Shaw there. I think there could be a little bit less of a ceiling or a differentiating aspect to having Tom Brady when one of his weapons is on Shaw's team. I think he's going to probably still play the Patriots defense, which I don't hate. I think they can stop anybody. I think even Buffalo's offense can be stopped by a solid defense like them. So I don't mind him playing them. So I am going to go Shaw this week. And I'll guess that Hurts plays too. That's my pick's based on Hurts playing.
Dan?
So I think Tom Brady against Atlanta could be fireworks, which really helps out the Gronkowski, Fournette, Tom Brady show. Jerry Jeudy, Kansas City lets up a lot of wide receiver yards. Chase Claypool stinks. That's not a good matchup. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, has he been healthy this season?
Yeah, he had a good week when he was in. He had a decent week.
Elijah Mitchell's been coming on. I absolutely hate this pick, and I hope Shaw's not listening, because if I'm wrong, I'm going to get drugged through the coals, but I got Chris.
I was thinking about going Chris, but I got to take Shaw here. Darrell Henderson against Jacksonville just seems like something. I mean, they're going to run up the score. They need to eat. I think what it comes down to, I think Shaw's going to pick the right flex this week. And I think he's going to need it. The Denver, I love Jerry Jeudy. I think he's one of the better wide receivers in the game, but he is in an offense where they spread the ball around a lot. Like they do not, especially they run that weird, Javonte Williams, everything. They got Tim Patrick, they got Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. They've got another one that they run out there. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a decent game, but I just can't pick against Shaw in this matchup. Yeah, I'm going Shaw.
Taking some underdogs in this one.
You didn't take Bird.
That's
that's so messed up, dude.
Yeah.
All right. The Milkman versus Ben. Maybe the matchup of the week. Probably the matchup of the week, actually. This is probably tied with Chris and Shaw, just because the outcome is so massive and anything can happen in a week. So I haven't started one. I'll start here. I haven't looked this at all. Kamara's going to be out, right?
It's looking that way, yeah.
So Ben has got some very interesting decisions to make.
I think Mark Ingram's going to play, though.
So he's going to be able to drop Devontae Parker, move Alvin Kamara to his IR, and pick somebody up in his tight end. Antonio Brown's still out. Okay, so Mark Ingram goes in. We'll see if Ben starts at tight end. He's been known to just keep Waller in there even when he's out. Devin Singletary against New England. I hate that. James Conner against Chicago. I do like that. And Chase Edmonds is not quite back. People are very high on Taysom Hill this week. I am not. I do not like starting Taysom Hill. Seems like a very interesting start. I think Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp have both have big games. This is a tough pick.
If it sways you, Amari Cooper was still coughing from his COVID bout today. Still got symptoms.
If Amari Cooper, oh God, this is a tough matchup. If Amari Cooper goes, I like Milk here. If Amari Cooper doesn't go, I like Ben. That's my pick.
I really don't think it's that close. I'm taking Luke.
I'm taking. Let's look at positions. I think Ben has it at running back. Milk has it at wide receiver. Milk has it at tight end. Ben has it at quarterback. Milk has it at flex. It's like neck and neck. It's basically going to decide if the Steelers game's a shootout, Ben wins. If it's not, Ben loses.
It's against Baltimore too. I don't see that being a shootout by any means.
No, they both stink. I've got Milk.
Baltimore is number one in the AFC.
Yeah, but they stink. Yeah, they're number one.
You got Milk?
Dogfight of nerds. Yeah.
Like I said, Ben's got really good high-end talent, like Waller, Kamara, Najee Harris, but he's just got so many people that are in or out, and he's got a couple holes outside of those top guys. I mean, this is gonna be another week where I just don't know if he can put it together or not.
All right,
I swear.
My pick's based on that.
Yeah, I swear I pick the matchup with Ben wrong every single week, though. So this is probably a good Ben week. So I'm probably gonna get this one wrong, but
Ben's team's a wild card.
It really is.
Thinks every week, but it just depends if his opponent's going to put up numbers.
Ben's opponent's a wild card every week.
Yeah, that's the case.
All right, that brings us to your two. Take it away.
I mean, good thing that you left us for the end so that people can kind of just shut it off. I would have gone through this one pretty early. I don't think it's going to be very close. I think I would have had a chance if DeAndre Swift would have played, or if AJ Brown would have been healthy. But I don't think I'm going to pick myself here. Like I said, I'm out of the playoffs, so I'm working on my pick'em score. I'm going to take the team that's favored to win. I'll take Dan.
I think the only thing that might cause some pause for picking me is Saints defense is pretty good against the run. I'm playing Zeke and Tony Pollard. If they have a week like last week, if they combine for like 25, I'm happy. I think a 25 is going to be more than your running backs combined for. And then I could just let the rest of my guys do the heavy lifting. I think Nick Folk and Eagles D. If Kyler plays, and it sounds like he might, but I've said that basically every week since he's been injured. I've got me.
I'll zag for some fun. I'll take Nick in this one. I traded Pittman. This was the week I was scared to trade Pittman because if I needed him against Houston, looked at the schedule, realized I have Bird, can probably just, throw somebody in there to cover up that hole. I think Pittman has a good week. I don't know. And Dan is obviously making that play of Pollard and Zeke, which is just an interest. You have to at this point, and you just ride with it at this point. Van Jefferson had a great week last week, so we'll see how they use him. If OBJ's down, he could be a fantastic play. I'm firing him up in my other league. I'll have some fun with it. I think Dalton Schultz is a great play here this week, so I'll take Nick in this one for fun.
Thanks, Peter.
Peter wants Nick to win so bad. He's been banging the Dan's going to lose week 13 drum for Hey. He was also banging the Dan's going to lose week 12 drum.
I picked against you most weeks.
What?
I've picked against you most weeks.
It's more fun.
If it's more fun to lose and pick them, well, that's your prerogative. I've been picking me and being right.
Dan, it's these 30 seconds while you explain why you should pick yourself that I live for each week. I do this whole podcast just to get this rise out of you. As you sit there in your ivory tower.
You're right. I've earned this. I put in the work that you two aren't willing to put in. And that's why I'm on top.
Hey.
And you're getting a raise at your job too, because you're doing such a good job there. So
I am very surprised by that based off of how much time I spent on the phone with trading fantasy, but it must be flying under the radar. And most of my internet history is fantasy football stuff.
I didn't realize that the trade deadline ended today. I forgot I was going to talk to Milk about, trading him Chuba Hubbard and somebody to try and get Cooper Kupp, but can't do it. And in doing so, I stumbled upon a good message. So back on September 28th, when McCaffrey went down the first time, and I texted him and he said, let me know when you want to talk. And he said, Dan made me a good deal. On the phone with him right now. I need a better deal. I go, is it official or do you want to talk? To which Milk says, not yet. He doesn't want me to talk to you. And I say, are you going to obey him? He goes, not sure. So what is it that you say? Why do Milk and Bird just sit there and like, oh, if Dan says jump, they say how high.
Hey, Milk did not obey me. He got you on the phone and I threw in Jamal Williams.
Hey, he did obey you. But how do the people, if someone is saying to me in anything, I don't want you to talk to them before making this deal. If I'm buying a car, if I'm buying a laptop, if I'm making a fantasy trade, that is the biggest red flag.
And I told Milk why. I'm not, hey, here I am. Here's my best.
No, you won't. You would have persisted for the next week.
No,
yes.
That's not how I am.
Yes, it is.
No.
People are scared that you're going to walk away.
I say, hey, here's the best offer I could do. Don't treat me like some kind of fool. Take it or leave it.
No. You do not want to be left. You will talk. You'll come crawling back.
I've never once done that. I've never
you
done
will
that.
come
I have never.
crawling
I have
back.
never done that.
How many times did you text me about Corey Davis when I said no?
I text you
Every week you come crawling back with a
text
new
you
scrub.
once a week.
That's enough.
Look whose team Corey Davis is on. Scroll down, Pete.
Yours.
Scroll down. Show.
No,
Start him against me then.
broke.
Start him against me then.
I might.
Yes.
Hey, maybe it's
Do it.
Sunday. I'm a little drunk. I'm at the tailgate. I bump into Corey Davis. He says, yo, man, I'm going to have a big game. I fly him into my flex over Tyreek.
And then he looks at your roster and he's like, oh, you're a big Jets fan. Let's see your defense you're starting this week. Oh, wait, you're starting the Eagles against us? Take that jersey off. I don't want you to ever cheer for this team again.
Oh my God, Corey Davis goes for 30 on your bench while the Eagles go for -10. Shaw gets a win. He's dancing in your grave. You lose in fantasy. Jalen Hurts is the second coming of Jesus Christ. What happens then?
If the Jets lose this week, I will be sad.
Well, buddy, I got a little spoiler for you.
Hey, Jets are on a 1-game win streak.
Hey, but if
Who'd
the
they beat?
Jets win, I am happy my name is not Alex Shaw.
Oh boy. If the Jets win, I have a 50-50 shot of Shaw murdering me outside of MetLife.
50-50 shot of getting shot.
By Shaw outside of MetLife Stadium.
Better chance at that 1 seed than for him, I guess.
Hey, if I die in some kind of Eagles-Jets related accident, I want the people playing me to not start a lineup and let me just coast to this championship. Bury me in the buckle.
Buddy, I already took all of your information for ESPN manager login, and the first thing I will do is take Tyreek, Juicy Jefferson off of your team. Devontae Adams. And they're going right back to Berg's. Berg is going to have super team.
Hey, if there's anyone I want to have them, it is Berg. And you know what? Then I want my players back.
Okay, you want Josh Jacobs back. You want Damian Harris back. You want
Calvin Ridley.
DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley.
Remember when Peter thought I got hosed in the Calvin Ridley trade?
I can't believe that still to this day.
I was wrong. Hey, I was wrong. I thought Calvin Ridley was going to be a stud this year.
He was decent until he had to walk away.
He was great last year. I mean, at the end of last year there, and Matt Ryan was slanging the ball around. I thought he was going to be, had a chance to be the number 1 wide receiver, like top 3 wide receiver in fantasy this year.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was wrong. Hey, I was wrong.
Another, yeah. Hey, same here. I traded for him.
Hey, and now Toys got him just lurking in that O spot.
All right.
Ready to pounce. All right, boys. This was good. Good hanging out with you. I look forward to this. I couldn't sleep last night. I was so excited for the podcast. I'm not lying. I was excited to talk. It's fun. I give it out.
I really propose that next year, if at all possible, maybe we get like we all blow some money, maybe get some professional mics, and we kind of have a little in-person pod.
Hey, I'd be all for it. It's
Yeah,
not that expensive to do.
I think it's tough sometimes.
You're so rich.
I think it's tough sometimes having to talk over someone because of the audio that Zoom has. But if we were all in the same room, you'd get that body language. It would be fun.
I totally agree. And look, hey, I'm either going to sit here and talk fantasy to a bunch of random people, or I can talk about it openly with the league that I'm in. I saw the best meme. It was me on Thanksgiving. Don't do it. 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 Don't do it.
Oh, no.
Have you heard about my fantasy team? Got you my fantasy team? I was like, that was me all Thanksgiving.
The entire Miller family was cheering Hawk. And when Hawk caught that tutty, my family.
There was a lot of money riding on Hawk to hit one.
Break out the champagne for that tootie. Yeah.
Right.
Are you playing golf with Alex Toy? That is.
Hey, I might.
Peter?
I gotta follow up with him. I think we might do a scramble on Saturday.
Ooh, have fun.
I missed the scramble. Well,
Impressive.
hey, we might see you boys this evening. This has been good. This is our longest one yet. I think a lot to get through, and it's only going to get better as we approach the playoffs.
I'm excited for the playoffs. I think that I still want to put some sort of emphasis on the losers bracket. I think that I really want to encourage some side betting, some just dignity moves from the guys in the losers bracket. Let's keep the fantasy fun going for as long as we can.
I made a dignity move. I put in claims. I grabbed one of the best defenses on the waiver this week. I'll still stick with it. I don't want to get last, even if there's no punishment because we didn't agree upon it. But
Bitch.
what was that?
I was just coughing.
Is that Amari Cooper?
All right.
I'm
I'm gonna go eat some dinner.
See ya.
Your friends.